shoot. It is. You'll probably hear my voice right now. Wait a second. We'll get in. Oh shit! I'm gonna go over here on this end of it and add the thumbnail before I forget, because I can't add it from this thing. Everybody's like, "What? Hearing voices."
Will you send me the link on email so I can send it to people too?
Yeah, bet. Give me 1 second to set up everything real quick. Add a thumbnail. There we go. I don't know if anybody's in, but we'll be starting in a second. Oh my god, so frustrating. All right, I'll do the thumbnail after we do the stream. Because hi everybody. So people are like, what voices? I'm gonna slowly lower the music, and y'all see our faces in just a second. So only 3 people in right now, but we'll just go ahead and slide up in here as we, turn the music down slowly. Hopefully people hop on a little later than I've ever gone live before. But it's Big Villainous, and it's my comrade and new stable contributor, Thunder. Oh shoot, what happened? Oh, I just lost him somehow. As literally I was switching over and then I lost him. I don't know what happened. Oh, here they're back. All right. I was just switching over, and as I hit switch, I lost you. I don't know. I didn't know. I was like, everybody's like, they're hallucinating right now. They're seeing people.
I think I clicked something by accident. Hey, y'all. How's it going?
Yeah. Let's see. I gotta remember. It's been a while since I've okay. Comments. Hey, everybody, give a shout in the comments, man. We got live. You can chat with us and everything. Damn, I'm glitching, but yeah, we about to talk about freeing Luigi. I mean, a little bit. You know what I mean? All right. So basically, to give an introduction, welcome to Overthrow Media. You know what I mean? You know me, Big Villains, but y'all may a few of y'all met Thunder before, but welcome Thunder back, and it's gonna be a consistent contributor. So y'all better be ready. Shoot. All right. So how do we want to jump this off? We got like an hour to talk about what's going on with Luigi, what's going on with the CEOs, being a little shook about what they have been doing to the people.
It's an interesting moment. I feel like there's a lot to talk about. I was not expecting the response that from online and in person that this moment in history has created. It's kind of heartening and surprising, and also there's good takes, there's bad takes, and I'm excited to kind of go through some memes and talk about things.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was really interesting to hear how everybody's there's multiple levels. I think how everybody was super excited at first, and then some people were kind of pulling back, but overall the excitement's still there. Free Luigi, you know what I mean? I'm with it, because everybody really feels the impact of the medical industry and how it's abusive across all class lines at this point, which is wild because we know how even his rich family members or friends didn't stitch on him, which is wild. which is wild. Someone did, but they didn't, which was not something you really expect from that like class layer. You know what I mean?
Totally, especially in American politics and in the American public. So it's an interesting moment. And I mean, I think the thing that's one of the more interesting things to me is how the so-called left and the so-called right, there's like some interesting alignment happening in this particular moment of class consciousness. Like a lot of the right-wing talking heads like Ben Shapiro are, towing the party line of like, oh, we're talking about a rich person, so this life matters a lot. And Ben Shapiro's own audience and a lot of the other audiences of these talking heads are like, dude, call me a leftist if this is a leftist take, but fuck this guy. Which, seeing that, I was like, oh shit, this is juicy, this is spicy, this is interesting.
And one thing I don't see a lot of people thinking about is the opportunities that actually like arises. I see a lot of critiques, for example, about like his reading list and stuff and like what his possible politics may have been. And it's just like he picked a target that everybody could relate to because of the mass abuse of the people. And I think it's our job, especially as leftists, instead of to criticize, to sit there and try to interact and engage. Instead of trying to move Kamala Harris, who's a politician who ain't going to move, why don't we try to move this cat who actually already has solidarity with the working class? He's a class trader in the good way. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of class traders in bad ways. He's one of the few that are in good ways. He's like, oh, I'm rich. I'm from the rich background, but this is effed. And they're just abusing the people and made a choice, and I can respect it. You know what I mean? Probably should say that on YouTube, but hey, I respect it.
Well, pain changed his life. I think a lot of people who otherwise might not be sympathetic or even in solidarity to class struggle and to other struggles, to racial struggle, to the queer struggle, to the trans struggle, to all the struggles. I think some people get mobilized by becoming disabled or dealing with chronic pain or chronic illness, especially in the US with the healthcare system that we have. So yeah, it's an interesting context. And it sounds like he dealt with a lot of chronic pain because of a surfing accident. Which, yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's from the Baltimore area in Maryland. I'm from Maryland, not from the Baltimore area, but I have some family there. And he definitely, like, his private school background and the way he talks and all this stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's like from like the wealthy middle class, upper middle class section of Baltimore, but here he is doing something like this, which is wild. But yeah, he apparently went to Hawaii for some reason, and then he got this surfing injury. On his Twitter or his X or whatever, he has an X-ray up of a bunch of like staples or nails or some sort of medical gear in his spine to deal with some sort of injury. So sounds like that's what radicalized him, which is, not necessarily surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I always think, makes me think about like one of my critiques of like where we are as leftists and like politics are, is like we gotta speak to people's material needs because that's what moves people, right? It's like when we see what radicalized him was probably his material experiences and material needs, that even though despite his wealth wasn't getting addressed, you know what I mean? Despite having that background. And it's because, hyper capitalism eats everything. It even eventually catches up with the wealthy, which is, which is wild to see how that can radicalize them against their own class, which is good. It's good, honestly, because we need more class traders coming from the rich, to be real, especially when they have the access to resources and they know how these systems work in ways that average Joe doesn't. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and there's discernment there too, because it's like he clearly wasn't from the 1%, or maybe even like, I guess I don't know his family history, but maybe not even top 5%. You know what I mean?
I seemed like he was from 1% because they owned all the fucking the different nursing homes and all this stuff. They're like they had their big money, like their big money. Yeah, he's big money. It's like it's not his private school was like $40,000 a year for high school.
Yeah, I mean, but some upper middle class people can afford that kind of thing, and you don't necessarily need to be in the 1% to afford that. which is wild, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole other discussion here of like how like older categorizations of class are still very useful. Understanding things in terms of the bourgeoisie and the proletariat and the lumpen and all this is still, and the petite bourgeoisie is still relevant. But also, I feel like in our contemporary class structure, things are also kind of changing, and ownership of capital is slightly different. And someone who works in tech who's making $200K a year, like, what is their class status? Their labor is still being exploited. But yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like, what really comes down to as far as that is that the class, the Marxist class distinctions aren't as relevant as they used to be, and they have morphed into other things. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean, I still think bourgeoisie and petite bourgeoisie have some use, but it's not to the degree it is, and it definitely doesn't sum up. The analysis doesn't sum up the lower classes at all anymore. Like it's just like there's no. It's way more complicated than that. And there's so many layers now at this point too. It's like there's layer upon layer upon layer at this point.
Yeah. Do you want to? So we have some memes that I've been like screen grabbing memes from Reddit for like the last 3 days because I thought there would be some interesting things to talk about, like spur on some conversation. Do you want to pop into some of those memes and?
Yeah. Do you want to screen share them again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it came undone.
Go.
Okay, so we'll do it like this. It wants to do it the other way. Oh, hold on. Cool. All right. Well, let me know when it's got ready and good to go. Then we're gonna, get to the little memes.
Here we go. All
right. So this is the one we opened up with, which is delay deny depose. And if everybody doesn't know what that means, that's from that's words that were on the rounds that hit the CEO. So.
Yeah, and the fact that his name is Luigi is so rich for memes. It's like the opportunities are great. Like I've been seeing some good memes of like Luigi's Mansion and all of that.
Yeah, pretty bad. And like, I loved it. Like I made that one meme with the little pistol, you know what I mean? A little pew pew. I guess it's good I didn't put it on a thumbnail. Actually, I should have to edit it before I put that thumbnail up because I just realized the pew pew will get us demonetized.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, Big made a great thumbnail of Luigi with a Glock with a silencer, but that's probably not very YouTube friendly, huh?
Yeah, y'all can see it in like the thread in the comment section on my the community post section. I put it up there for you, Luigi. But yeah, good to see the homies up in here. I see you. Oh shit, I see you.
Tempest says, in light of recent events, I now know that God's angels are Italian. Yes. I was just telling Big, Luigi looks just like my cousin if my cousin was Italian. But my cousin is hella Irish. And so he's just the Irish looking version of Luigi, which is crazy.
Oh, snaps. Well, I mean, the IRA goes down too. I mean, they be throwing it in. They be getting in. So, let's oh, shoot. Boom.
This one made me laugh because I love this meme format so much. I guess call me a millennial, but I don't think I'll ever stop loving this meme format. But I don't know, his whole like approach to that moment and his escape, and then the Monopoly money in the backpack. I was just talking to someone about like the actual event as it went down, and it's interesting because I think a lot of us who do organizing think about security culture and the surveillance state and like, okay, how do we like work around the surveillance state? And what's really interesting about what just happened is like he was able to pull some crazy big shit off while dealing with one of the most heavily surveilled areas in America, New York City, with like all of the private and public surveillance in like the most I don't know if like another city might compare, like maybe LA but he pulled that shit off with all of these cameras everywhere, which like kind of, I mean, it might change how the surveillance state does things, but it kind of says more about where what the state of the surveillance state is right now, which is like it's not maybe as powerful as some of us think it is. You know, it's not as granular and like all knowing. Like we're more experiencing the effect of the panopticon. Oh yeah, true. In my youth, I spent a lot of time in DC, and that city feels like that city 15 years ago felt intense in terms of surveillance. I can't imagine what it feels like now. Stranger Than Fiction. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of surveillance, but he was still able to pull it off. So it's interesting thinking about, okay, what is possible in the surveillance state? That's possible in the current state of surveillance? Okay, interesting. Wild.
I think here's the thing: is surveillance state. I think they get us more shook by surveillance because the surveillance isn't guns on the wall. There aren't automated turrets that are going to take you down and do something. Right? You're going to be able to do it. I think what comes into play is the mistakes he made. You know what I mean? And that goes into surveillance here, right? With taking staying in the hostel where he had to show his face or things like that, right? Those are things where you show the surveillance state and how it actually functions, but it still doesn't stop you from doing things. And I think one of the things is they pumped it up so hard. Like they were like, oh, he was paid assassin clearly. And like, no, he just like, well, the jam, how we clear the jam, he means he used the gun. He used the pew-pew before. The pew-pew has been used before. He practiced with it. He was preparing. He did, like that's what that meant. And the thing is, like, what I really think happened is it broke the illusion of their invincibility. Mm-hmm. They get so scared by their like guns, by their cameras, by their surveillance state. Because they don't want us to realize that they are far from invincible. That there's consequences to actions, and they can face it too, just like we face them. And I think that's really what shook up everything for them, right? And like, it's not only that, but like that we were down with it as a people. We were like, yeah, that's great, and then like, oh shit, because they realized that there's no real protection. That they, even if they hire security, that ain't gonna save them. Like a person, you could have 30 security, and a person could still touch you. They might die from touching. Oh shoot. They might become unalive. Hopefully, it doesn't catch that.
Oh my God.
From touching you.
We're so bad at that.
I don't do lives, but I usually edit it out. You might get unalive they might get unalive from touching somebody, but like they can't, nothing can protect you. Someone can always, like, there's always saying like you can unalive anybody you want if you're willing to give your own. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the thing is like, yeah. And that's the thing is what they don't want us to realize. They don't really realize that this system is built on a stack of cards, that there's no way they can really defend themselves in a real way from us while holding their offense. You know what I mean? They could turtle up, but they'd have to shut things down. They have to truly turtle up and protect themselves. They shut things down. They want to make money. They like making money. They don't want to stop that. And
they also want to live their lives. I mean, in the way that they're living them, which includes, being able to go into public spaces and shopping and yeah.
Now, I would be clear, I'm not advocating violence. I would never do that on YouTube or any other place where I could be indicted or get in trouble for it. So I'm gonna be clear. I'm just pointing out observations.
Commentary, social commentary.
Exactly. But yeah. Oh shoot, more. Seems like we got some more. Oops. Oh my God, I keep doing this. Keep pressing the wrong thing.
Oh yeah. Shit. I don't know. I just thought this was funny. The trolley problem is such an over-memed thing. And now we actually have a moment where it's just the perfect meme format to talk about this moment.
Man, bro. Like, there have been so many jokes at the two's expense, and I think they're great. But did you hear about their wife?
No.
So apparently their wife was like, man, there seemed to be a lack of surveillance. They must have been lacking coverage. His wife was cracking jokes about him getting off. He was like, they're lacking coverage. It was lacking coverage. That was the whole.
No way. Do you think that was on purpose, or was it an accidental?
No, on purpose. I guess they were like, they've been separated for a while. It was definitely on purpose. Like, his wife apparently hates it. I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh shit. I mean.
I don't think
Slightly to be expected. It seems like most billionaires' wives don't really like them very much.
I was laughing my ass off. I was like, dang, how hating could you be? Like, people are supposed to feel bad for you, or like, go to hell. Like,
That kind of reminds me of Bezos's wife a little bit. The one who's like who's doing all this like spiteful donating to charity once she got half of his money.
yeah, man. Oh man, I mean, no, that's real. That's real. I mean, like, and I wish I would got more than half his money, but hey, but the thing is, like, yeah, I don't think that a lot of these billionaires are like they make money off preying on people, right? How much do you think that shows up in a relationship? How much of that nature shows up in a relationship?
100%.
You know what I mean? Because like you're not separate from the things you do, and like for a job, you're not separate. Like if you make those choices, they tell you something about your personality, right? So when that happens, like it was wild because like, but he's the butt of everybody's joke, and it's what's funny because the media was like his family don't really like him much either. So I don't think there's anybody really sad about it. Like it seems to be. I won't speak about his kids. I don't know what his kids feel, but who knows? That might still be some.
It's got to
be shit too. So
it's got to be complicated for his kids, but yeah, I mean it's complicated for the kids of everyone who's lost their lives to not getting coverage. It's more than complicated. Lost their coverage of life-saving treatment. So
and there's like I forget the term. There's this community or collective unaliving or whatever it's called. That is how the society just knocks people out, right? And like how people like this take out thousands of people easily with that to make a profit, and how that seen as acceptable. But then we see the media get really mad at what Luigi did. I'm like, nah, man, that's like literally that's eye for eye shit. That's not even eye for eye shit. Like, 'cause really, he took way more than one eye. You know what I mean? So, man. But it's the thing is like, I'm still astonished about how they like were glazing Luigi though. The police were glazing Luigi. Like everyone's like, oh, they're such a pro. That still had me cracking up. I'm like, bro.
You mean with how good looking he is?
No. I'm talking about like how the police were glazing him like he's like this trained assassin. He's definitely a pro. I was like, bro, y'all are just because like, it was clearly not. It clearly wasn't. It was clearly somebody who just had to like. The thing is that people think that somebody who has drive is automatically a pro. Apparently,
yeah,
he had a drive for it. He was like, okay, I got this mission I'm on.
And how do you get that drive? You get that drive from having nothing to lose sometimes. And I mean, a lot of people could argue that he had plenty to lose, especially with his class background. But what's crazy about this economic disparity situation that we're all in together is these billionaires don't realize how much of a hostile environment they're creating for themselves. Like the more they give us less and less to lose, the more wild shit is actually going to get. Because as you said before, nothing pushes people to move like intense material conditions, not their ideology, not who their parents were, not who their friends are, but intense material conditions. And I mean, I think all of us can say that material conditions have gotten harder for most of us. I know, I'm way worse off economically than I was 5 years ago. The struggle, the big fists that is around us all is like really fucking tightening right now. And these people think that the brainwashing talking heads is going to be enough to quell the American public. I mean, I was asking myself for a little bit. I was like, when something's got to give at some point, like at some point, people are going to break, and this moment is like, oh yeah, okay. People are starting to break.
I mean, it's been breaking, right? But these are just more and more ruptures, right? And you're seeing more and more of the discontent manifest more often, and like, and this is the thing is like also like what Tempest brought up the whole thing with like the Fox News host condemning Luigi to like moments later celebrate the dude who murdered the House of the Cat in New York getting off. It's like, bro, like it's made it clear as day. Y'all don't care about people, you care about power. People with power you want to protect, and people without it are expendable to y'all.
I got
You know
a
what I mean?
really fucking funny meme for that. Give me a second. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are reaching their breaking point. And I think the most important thing for us in this moment is to like really hone in on like how do we have conversations with people that might not share a lot of our ideological positions, but who are in a moment where they're reaching a breaking point. And it's like, how do we create solidarity in those moments and practice patience and conversation, practice patience and connection, and connect on a relational level with people who might be really different from the way that we think, but like increases our numbers of solidarity in terms of class consciousness and awareness of how we're all kind of getting fucked up by this big machine that we're all stuck in.
I mean, I think a big part of it is like on the left side. I'm not speaking on the right because the right got a whole bunch of problems, obviously. But on the left side is crushing our self righteousness. Like get out that shit. Because if we're all honest, all our hands are dirty as fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you could if you count the violence done indirectly, our hands are dirty as hell. So
Yeah.
so we can't be any type of self righteous about anything. And like you know what I mean, like the thing like I said, when people criticizing his reading books instead of thinking about, oh, how do we reach out and support this cat? So when he sees who supporting him is the communists, the anarchists, the socialists, the people on the left being like, yo, we see what you did, and like we're here, and we'll send you books, we'll do this, we'll do whatever we can to like help support you. You know what I mean? We'll put some money on your books, and if we do move like that, we'll see people come over on our side that we see do like acts like that, and then. But we have to take action. That's what part of organizing is. It's not to be sit there on a pedestal and be like, we're the right ones. You know what I mean? It's to be like, no, we're trying to accomplish something. And anybody who moves towards that goal, we should reach out to them, especially if they're in a bad position, especially be the ones that show up and show solidarity. You know what I mean? Because none of us disagree with his move. So, I mean, you know, at least in theory, just to protect TOS, I'll say it that way.
But, yeah, not in action, but in theory, I think all of us can sympathize.
Yeah, I don't support, I don't condone or condemn anything. You know what I mean? I'm not condemning it either. I'm definitely not doing that. Yeah. And I'm not condoning because I legally can't without getting in trouble. I'm playing. I troll a little bit, but hold up, let me pull some stuff up.
We're saying stuff up as well.
And people decry violence as long as it's not state violence. They were rightly happy to cheer Assad deposing, even though that was violent. Yeah, facts. And it's not even just state violence, but like I said, the Fox, like me and Tempest was pointing out, Tempest pointed out, and I regurgitated. Let's be real. The Fox News reporter literally praising this dude getting off for murdering a houseless person who was apparently annoying them. You know what I mean? Like wasn't no threat to nobody. So it's just but they don't care about that, but they care about like the CEO. And I'm like, nah, man. I mean, I don't care about no CEO, period. Like it's not, but definitely not that dude. To put an analogy, it feels to put it into an analogy, Luigi feels like the first tooth in the jaws biting into the fish choking us. Sorry. Sure that. I mean, facts. I mean, the thing is, like, people realize what's happening, but the media, the state won't act like it. The CEO and the corporations weren't making the first aggression. And that's the reality. They were making the aggressions to make a profit. And not even because they felt a need to. Like Luigi made a choice because he felt the need to, and that the people needed to make a choice. Whether you agree with it or you disagree with it, doesn't matter. That's what he felt. The people in those positions of power, in that medical insurance company, they did it to make a profit. They did it because they didn't care about lives. The lives were worth less than the dollars they made. So
yeah, they're just getting more and more abstracted from the actual fucking material conditions of the rest of our lives, because they can just live in their tiny little bubble up there. I've got a good example of that media hypocrisy that we were just talking about.
No. Boom.
Oh, I guess my slides haven't updated yet on that end.
What? You not seen it? I see it.
It's not showing the right thing. Let me see if I can.
Okay. Let me go back real quick. Ooh. me know when you ready.
I'm gonna re-upload it.
That's facts. It's been getting worse for decades. That's true. It's been getting worse, I think, this whole time. I mean, since like everybody thinks there was a big what's it called, revision, or like stuff getting better in the civil rights movement or after that, and I just think call cap. Like I've had elders that were in that era, were fighting and struggling. We're part of the George Askin Brigade, they're part of Black Panthers, we're part of the what's it called, the dudes that were like dropping bombs everywhere. the not the anyway, I forgot the one org, but and they all saying the same thing. It's worse now. It's worse now, and that's a wild reality that it is.
Yeah, I think we're all just a little bit more alienated now too, which doesn't really help. All right, let's see if we can. Oh, I guess it doesn't let us actually play a video from here.
Oh, it doesn't? Shoot.
That's too bad. But yeah, this video is great because it shows.
You can share the video. I think you might just do it separately than that. And
okay. That's fine. We can skip it. All but right. Basically, the video is showing the Fox News media's response to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, right.
In comparison to what this is, like they're saying vigilantism is never okay, and we're like, okay, but what about Kyle Rittenhouse? What was that all about?
Yeah, facts. Or what about all the people that were like choosing to use vehicles to run us over?
Yeah,
all 2020, and y'all were justifying that left and right. Or the cat who pew-pewed the homie right there in Capitol Hill, who was one of the few people. The homie got pew-pewed, who was one of the few people across with us at the barricades. What about that cat? Oh, he was a cop's brother, so he just, got like some misdemeanors and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like after he ran two of the cops for protection after he shot pew-pewed somebody. I'm trying not to demonize.
Yeah. I think that what is radicalizing about this moment is I think people are starting to understand violence more, period. Like violence is not the thing that has been framed to me by the state. It's more, there's other things going on here. Violence is not just something that is able to be prosecuted by a judge, and violence is not something that is just what the media is telling me it is.
Facts. And I mean, I think people should read, if they can, Frantz Fanon, Rest of the Earth, specifically on violence, by the way. I just highly suggest that.
It's a great book.
I think one thing I'll say, and I don't talk about a lot, hopefully it won't get us demonetized, but there's this whole conversation to be had about violence in the first place, right? Because there's assumptions. Well, first off, people moralize good and bad, which I don't really believe in good and bad. I believe in repercussions. I believe in harm. I believe in healing. I believe in those things, but I don't believe in good and bad. But people tend to moralize violence in a specific way. In reality, violence is just a neutral force. It means force. That's what it is. And everything uses force to survive. Everything is violent. And we just got to accept that. But it isn't necessarily bad or good. It is whatever it is used for. You know what I mean? If it's used to oppress, it's oppressive. If it's used to liberate, it's liberatory. But it's like a tool. It's no more than a wrench in a toolbox. You know what I mean? It doesn't, we have to use violence to be able to eat. We have to be able to harvest food, whether from the plants or the animals, which are all alive. And these things, like, we look at violence the whole wrong way because we're dictated by the empires that have a vested interest in keeping the monopoly on violence. Yeah. So they're the only ones that can utilize it, in my opinion.
The book, by the way, Phelan, hopefully I'm saying your name right, is Frantz Fanon's on violence.
Well, Frantz Fanon, Rest of the Earth, and then the part on violence. So it's Rest of the Earth, and then there's like a part that says on violence, and that inside that book, and then he jumps into it. But yeah, I suggest Frantz Fanon to everybody and anybody. So what do you think about do we want to pull up the McDonald's meme?
Oh yeah. There we go.
Oh,
It's fucked up.
damn, that's wild. That's wild. I will say.
It's spicy.
Oh wow, that's a wild one. I didn't
I
know
had
that
a
one.
I had a
I
different
was
one in
thinking
the slide for this moment,
you
but I
didn't
found a
warn me
spicier
about
one.
that one. That was wild. I'm not gonna lie. Oh,
Yeah, like let's talk about snitch, like this fucking snitch moment of McDonald's. A McDonald's worker,
bro.
customer service, fast food, some of the most exploited people in our fucking country. What the fuck? Like either it must have been someone really young who didn't know what the hell was going on.
Nah, I don't think it's on him. I feel like it's over. I don't feel like a young person would have done it. I think a young person would be like, nah, we ain't saying shit.
I
We ain't
don't
saying
know.
nothing.
Yeah.
A
Trying to
zoomer? A zoomer?
trying to get into the head of someone in that moment. I mean, if you're in a rough position, that reward money can look like a lot, but for a lot of us,
No. You know what's crazy?
not gonna get the money.
Yeah, they called 911 instead of Crime Stoppers, so they ain't getting a penny.
That's
So
how it goes.
they're
This is
still
how it
working
goes.
there.
These agencies like will do everything to not give this money out. Like they'll find
Yeah,
ways to
good,
not give the money out.
good. You shouldn't get a penny. You should still be stuck there, working there, where everybody know where you at, and then live with what you chose to do. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, it was good police work that caught him. That's what caught him, not the snitch. That's what they're gonna say.
It's wild. It's wild because it's like why would you? Like, I mean, I get the money, 50 bands or whatever. Like, oh, I don't care. That ain't me. It's like, I mean, sometimes just principles worth more. Like on principle. Like even if you ain't from the streets, you're a square. It's on principle. You're like, man, I look at that thing. You're like, nah. Even if you're not on some bad abolition shit, even if you are willing to tell and all that type of stuff, there should have been there should be a limit, right? There should be a point where you're like, nah, this person did what they did because they wanted to benefit the people, they wanted to benefit our people, and because the system is screwing us over, so we ain't gonna say nothing. We're gonna, whoop. I don't have to. You don't have to be on the side. You can just be like, whoop, I'm minding my business.
And that to me is one of the true differences between America and other places that are dealing with intense class conditions. Is I see, because American class consciousness is not great in general, we're dealing with a lot more obstacles around that kind of thing. Because I think in other places, the likelihood of someone turning on someone like this would be a lot smaller. Like even in this moment of like class consciousness expanding in a really commonly held issue of our fucked healthcare system, like we're still up against people being highly atomized, highly alienated, not thinking about other people, being like, it's just me against the world. I'm being squeezed so hard. I'm in tunnel vision. I can't even think about like what another person might go through in this moment, which keeps us, I mean, as we all know, keeps us more and more down. But the American cultural drive towards alienation and isolation really fucks us over. Yeah. And I think moments like I think people who become snitches are like in that like intense tunnel vision of like intense survival mode, can't connect with other people, can't even think about how their situation might be improved if they're like linking up with their neighbors and linking up with friends and chosen family or blood family that they can connect with. And yeah, we're a lot more powerful together than alone.
See, yeah, I mean, and here's the thing is like, it's one thing. I mean, I know people think of it the opposite way, but this is how I feel about it. It's like one thing when people are coerced, all right, in a situation and then they break, right? But it's another thing when you just go out for no fucking reason. No reason. I mean, I guess money, but like, you're not being coerced. You could go about your motherfucking day and mind your fucking business.
Yeah.
And you chose not to. That's crazy. That's wild. You know what I mean? And it's just a whole thing. It's an American thing, but it just felt like, you should know that that's a bad decision in this specific situation, right? Everybody's like it's a bad decision. Are you thinking you're the one righteous person in the sea of in the cesspool? Is that what you believe, or no? They just want the money. Let's be real about it. They're just money.
Some of these comments are pretty good. I'm gonna pull these up.
Oh, which one?
We got both Tempest and Stranger in Fiction and Caius.
One of the pieces of the propaganda machine is isolation, and even worse, deprivation of empathy.
Yeah.
Education and the arts being bled out of is a great example of the what?
How this manifests.
Oh, how this manifests. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, education's an interesting issue. We could talk about the nuances of that for a while. But I feel like in general, people being cut off from their sense of creativity, people being cut off from developing the cultural skills of togetherness and making decisions together and creating together and just getting to be with each other in a non-competitive way. And sometimes in a competitive way, but in a way that generates empathy and togetherness. Like, yeah, really fucks over our incredibly huge human drive for empathy. And it really creates a better situation for each of us to be exploited.
Yeah, man. I mean, that you add on to like you said, the isolation, but also like the consistent intentional destruction of community.
Yeah.
Like by the state. You know what I mean? We left, and I mean, I feel like we left with so many deficits in our generation, like millennials up at least. You know what I mean? And I don't even know. I can't even speak to what Zoomers are going through because, like,
they're more isolated than we are.
I mean, it was bad for us, but it's a whole different level, right? We for us, we got TV as a babysitter, right? But for them, they got screens as their life, like from every moment. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's wild, and the alpha is going to be like a whole different beast because we live in a society where they have taught us to jail ourselves through the devices they give us as things that we thought would open up the world to us.
Yeah. What's crazy to me is like these screens would not have the hypnotizing power that they do have without also at the same time material conditions becoming harder and harder and harder, you know? Like, I think about my own experience as a teenager in the early 2000s before the internet was as ubiquitous as it is now, but it was, it was popping off. There was AIM and MySpace and later on Facebook. And what was happening at the same time as these technologies rising and adoption by the youth rising of these technologies was we were getting kicked out of public spaces. There was a spot in the city that I lived in where all the teenagers would hang out. It was at a movie theater. And then a bunch of anti-loitering laws started being enforced and teenagers weren't allowed to hang out in public spaces anymore. The police would come, security would come and kick people out. So, and also helicopter parenting with like the fear mongering of the media was rising at the same time. So materially, culturally, we were experiencing conditions where just gathering was becoming more difficult because of the law and because of the fear mongering of stranger danger in the media, keeping parents from actually allowing a lot of their kids to experience independence. And obviously that really depends on your class experience and your cultural background and everything like that. But that's a trend that I saw in my own city that I grew up in. So yeah, of course, all the preteens and the teens are hopping to AIM and hopping to MySpace to connect with people because that youthful drive to connect and meet people and make friends and belong to a scene and belong to a group is so strong. And if I can't do it in person, I'm going to take advantage of the digital tools to do that. And now we're in a situation where the youth not only have this like ubiquitous technology right in front of them that promises connection, which is such a huge emotional and spiritual and human drive, but even stronger when you're young. And our material conditions of isolation and gathering spaces and third places that aren't work and home or school are shrinking. So places for youth to gather is even less than what I experienced as a kid, which means, of course I'm going to take this available hypnotizing screen to like make me feel connected, make me feel like I'm a part of something.
Man.
Yeah,
and it's like it's also wild because like I mean, I want to go to the stranger danger thing you mentioned, right? It's also wild that people bought into that because people like I see that thing bought into on the left specifically, and it is the most counterproductive and overall cap thing because like because when people do stranger danger, like, oh, like, you know, people can kidnap you, people, all those things, like, that doesn't like happen like that, like in real life. As someone from the streets, it's not how that shit works. People, like, it isn't a stranger. Like, that's not who does that. You know what I mean? Like, understand me. It isn't a stranger. Like, I'm not saying it never, ever, ever happens, but it's so rare compared to the reality of the people around, the people that are close to people, and especially when people are isolated, that then take advantage of them because they don't have exposure to other people.
Yeah.
You know, as much as people are a danger, people are also a solution to the danger of the people.
Yes.
Right. So it's like, you know, more people around, more interactions, the more people there are to hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
And to not let bad stuff happen. But when we just like, oh, isolation is the answer, it's like, no, it's not. Because the first thing a predator wants to do is isolate somebody.
Yes.
If someone's already isolated, it makes their job way easier, period. And the thing is, we think that, you know, we lost a whole bunch of people because of that. People just don't want to hear this. And I'm like, that's fine. You don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. And I'm saying, as a kid that ran the streets, but with a bunch of other kids that ran the streets, the people that were the biggest threat were people who were embedded in our lives. The people who found ways to embed themselves in our lives. And that's what people don't want to like process, because then you have to look, because they realize that the problems, the dangers come from their own family, their own peer groups, their family friends, and things like that, more than just like some random stranger. And now, like I said, I won't say it never happens, but anomalies are anomalies. They're anomalies, not the base of reality, right? And don't get me wrong, there's still sketchy shit that happens in life doesn't take away that. So don't think that it means that nothing happens. But I think it's done more damage with the stranger danger fear stuff, more to divide us and more to make people more vulnerable than any type of benefit that came from that. I think no benefit came from that, because it doesn't address how stuff really happens, you know?
Well, it keeps us, that cycle of fear keeps us more addicted to the media cycle. So it benefits them. It does not benefit culture. It does not benefit the people. Yeah. I want to see.
France kids in playgrounds will run up to literally any adult if they've skinned their knee. Complete opposite of stranger danger. Exactly. Thank you. Bro.
Yeah. This is we're like getting a little off topic here, but it just feels like a good conversation to have. It's like, I just listened to a story of a survivor of trafficking, where they were forced into doing work that they did not want to do. And I think people can understand what I'm inferring through that. And I've been doing research into people's stories around that, because I might end up working in that field soon, in terms of supporting survivors of being forcibly put into sex work when they don't want to be. And a lot of the stories are like, like they were teenagers and they were being neglected by their parents. So they were vulnerable to people coming in, and they were looking for someone to help them or guide them. So they were vulnerable to people coming in and like forcing them and coercing them into that life. So like the other thing that happens when it's not someone in your family or someone in your circle forcing you to do things or making you or putting you in a violent situation, it's like the neglect that capitalism creates in family systems and in community systems of like people always have to be working, or people get stuck in cycles of addiction because of our culture and because of the situation that we're all in, which then ends up creating people who are creating children and creating teenagers and even adults sometimes who are vulnerable to violence. Like it's not a stranger coming in with chloroform and being like, "Hi, I got you." It's like, oh yeah, no, these systems are really fucking up families and communities.
Vax. And what really happens, people take you under their wing, and the wrong person takes you under their wing, and then that's what happens. You know what I mean? And I'm not like sex trafficking is one of the worst, but like also, like if I'm a buck, I was ashamed of this for years. But that's kind of what happened when I was really selling drugs. Like I was selling mainly for other people because they were like big brothers to me almost. You know what I mean? And they didn't have the same love for me I thought they did at the end of the day. It definitely ended up getting used a lot. You know what I mean? And I didn't ever want to admit that because you want to be like the top. You know what I mean? You don't want to admit that. But I was an autistic fucking 19-year-old, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking for something that just came out of foster care. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm high masking, whatever. But like, especially at that time, I was way more vulnerable to it and looking for somebody to be like family to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I made choices. Now I was still already I wasn't like somebody who wasn't associated with the streets, but also most of the people who get trafficked are associated with the streets too. Like they're not like brand new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's more complicated than that, but people don't know that because they ain't living these lives. A lot of people who talk about this stuff up in college, came from upper middle class background, ain't living nothing like that, so I don't even see it. But I'm not saying I'm trying to get on a pedestal or something, but like it's a frustrating perception that people have about what's going on in this world and in society, and it causes more harm because then people don't know how to address the situations when they really come up because they don't understand what's really happening. They just think some shit they saw in a movie. You know what I mean? It's like this ain't movies, bro. This ain't movies. Real life is way more complicated, way more nuanced than that.
Totally.
Anyways, yeah, we're off topic, but yeah, I felt like
do we want to go to another spicy meme?
All right. We're gonna go back to talking about Luigi. I know that's where y'all came here right now. I know we started talking about some other stuff, but
our conversations have a tendency to meander, so expect more of this in the future.
All right, let's get to some more memes. Ooh. Let's play a game. Who killed the most Americans?
Spicy.
Do. Answers in chat. We're gonna
get. What does chat think about this?
Which one? The one on the right or the one on the left? Who cost more lives? American
spicy.
30 seconds left. Let's go. Let's hear the answers. Hurry.
It's seeing this on social media was wild to me. I didn't see that meme on like a super niche Reddit. Like I saw that on like a mainstream Reddit subreddit. And like that's been the most mind-blowing thing for me here is like having been someone who's been on social media for 15 years. And I, my context for movement work is mostly in person, but also, keeping tabs on what's going on online and discourse. Like these kinds of memes in mainstream spaces is wild to see. Like it feels like a radicalizing moment. It's crazy.
Pele gets the award for predicting the right person. On the left, yes, with the CEO who just got off by Yoshi. Luigi. Yes, Yoshi. Mario Brothers. Luigi. You know what I mean? Well, that CEO. Because we see Bin Laden had a couple thousand. This cat was running about 38 to 40,000 a year. You know what I mean? Medical system denies so many people that takes out way more. There's like 20 times, 30 times, 20 to 40 times more people a year than Bin Laden his whole life. I don't know, but
I'm just laughing at chat. I mean, I grew up Muslim and having. I was very radicalized by my experience as a Muslim kid in a post 9/11 America and the Islamophobia and the phobia of the MENA region in general, the Middle East and North African region in general. And it's wild to see people outside of the American system villainized, and not having people villainize people within the American system as much in the same way that people outside of the American system are villainized. So seeing memes like that is heartening for me. It's a heartening experience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And like also, another pop quiz. Which one of those people were a result of the U.S. government?
Both.
Don't ruin the trick question.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I ruined it. Yep. Yeah, just like we're seeing with Assad and the Syrian government toppling and the ISIS and all this shit. Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things too is like Americans make such a big deal about loss of our own lives, but not what we do across the globe. You know what I mean? But you know, for once, that wasn't what happened. You know, for once, that wasn't what happened. Look, the CEO was bad enough that everybody could see. But
But I got a good meme for this moment as well.
oh shoot,
Share this one.
violence is a necessary tool of the oppressed. Oh, you're sweet.
Yeah.
Violence is a necessary tool of the oppressed. Hello, human resources, help.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing the dial move around the American public's relationship to violence in terms of our own internal politics. But something that I am thinking about a lot, because the genocide is on my mind a lot, is okay, this moment is important for American class consciousness. And also, I know how the attention cycle works on social media. And I'm like, is people's focus going to be mostly on this moment more than Palestine now? Because it feels like this is the political hot button in our circles more potentially now than the Palestinian struggle. So connecting people's moments of radicalization or waking up to the state's monopoly on violence in this moment, hopefully we can do our work to connect that to the genocide as well, and how a people might respond to different levels of genocide over 50 years, in some ways 75 years, in some ways 100 years in Palestine.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's the thing: is if it's like that, which I mean, to some degree, obviously it is. It's the same thing as being with Palestine, right? People hop on and hop off instead of like consistent, because this stuff never didn't start recently. You know what I mean? This has been going on our whole lives, and like, you know, I mean, I hope it doesn't go this way, but I think that's again falls into like our job to be able to make sure that we draw the parallels between the what's happening here and what's happening across the sea, right? We talk about how the same people that make profits off of the medical industry and make sure that those profits keep going are the same people that go turn around and support Israel and support the genocides happening all across the Middle East at the behest of the West, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's our jobs, and I think our jobs isn't to be picking apart likes people's book lists to try to find some reason to pull apart the person who actually took action. You know what I mean? So, like, I think it's our job is to be able to explain to people like the correlations and try to build solidarity and bring like awareness in the situation so people can get out and move in ways. I'm not advocating any type of violence. I'm just talking about like, you know, organize, do whatever. You know what I mean? I will never advocate any type of violence on these platforms. I promise you.
Well, we're coming up on the hour mark.
So it might boot us off now, and if it does, it'll be last in the stream. If it doesn't, we'll go a little bit longer. But I think we only get an hour to reach the free version. So, I want to pop this up.
Yeah, this is a good thing to end on since we're streaming, which is it's just interesting to see how also the tech sector, i.e., the website GoFundMe, is also, you know, I mean, I think we're not under many illusions now with figures like Facebook and Twitter and the people who lead them being a part of the billionaire class. But just interesting seeing an organization like GoFundMe take kind of sides in this moment of class struggle, and keeping people from organizing legal funds for Luigi. It's pretty. Yeah. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised, but I'm like, oh, that's another radicalizing fact potentially. Like, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse and other right-wing vigilante people were able to raise funds on these platforms, but no, not for someone like this.
Somebody who has the interest of the people instead of the interest of white supremacy at hand, you know. Yeah. This might cut us off if it goes past this next 5 seconds. It isn't, but otherwise, love y'all. Thanks for rocking with us. If it cuts off right now, we'll see. It didn't. Okay, we're still here. All right, cool. I thought it was an hour. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I thought it was an hour for the free version, but okay, we're good. All right.
Oh yeah, we got more time.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was a different app that is an hour free version or something. I'm maybe confused. Maybe it's Zoom. That might have been. I might be confused with Zoom. Zoom might have the hour limit for the free version. That's what it is. Okay. Well, we're still here, so don't leave, y'all. Don't leave. I don't say I'm slowing y'all leaving. We're wrong. We're wrong. We were wrong. We're still going.
Don't leave, mommy.
We'll probably rock for another like 30. No, 30 sound good. Maybe probably, if y'all want to rock with us. All right.
We've got some other memes we can look at as well. Let's look at Luigi's beautiful face for a second. What a handsome guy.
Everybody just straight drooling over Luigi. I'll be honest.
Yeah. I put this up here because I wanted us to talk about class traitorism.
Yeah, for sure.
A rich topic.
I think usually when we talk about working class people being class traitors bad, but if the wealthy is a whole different conversation. I think it's honestly astonishing to see because that's not something that really happens very much. I mean, especially in this type of way, like the most class traitors, like the WikiLeaks dude, maybe like that's the best they had, and he's supposed to be some mess of a person too, for some other reasons. But I think it's really, I don't know, it's really eye-opening to see that even the wealthy can be reached enough that their children can turn on their class privilege. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it was something we talked about a little bit earlier when we were starting about how pain and disability can really radicalize a person.
Yeah, that's really, because you can't take away nothing your wealth can't take that away. You know what I mean? Especially in this medical system. So. Yeah.
And I think also being a part of a sexual minority can help as well, because the word on the street is that Luigi is bisexual. Bi representation, bi visibility day.
Oh shit!
But yeah, what are the little million cuts that you might experience even as a wealthy person of being othered, or being not fitting neatly into the machine, or not fitting into the cookie cutter class escalator life of the wealthy and the middle class and the upper middle class, and how can that slowly radicalize a person?
Facts. Man, yeah, I think the combination too, the more intersections you have too, so you got queer and you got it, and you're having severe debilitating back injuries due to like the bad medical care system because of greed, then yeah. I mean, I think one thing I do want to raise though is it's important to realize that the insurance company, though being excruciatingly evil, is far from the top of the food chain there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The pharmaceuticals or whatever. I'm not advocating violence. I'll say it again. YouTube, don't demonetize me. But I'm just saying the food chain of power goes much higher than insurance companies, right? It goes all the way up to the pharmaceutical companies who exploit the land, exploit the people to be able to get the medicines made in the first place, and then turn around and exploit the people more to be able to make their profits. And withhold tons of stuff, right? I've heard, for example, PrEP, right? It's like $2 a pill in other countries, but here it's like for a 30-day supply is like what, $2,300 or something stupid.
What?
Yeah. If you don't have insurance, it's like out of pocket is extremely crazy.
There are so many. See, I didn't even know that, because in where I live, there are so many organizations that hook people up with PrEP for free. That like there's very little barrier to taking PrEP regularly. But damn, I did not know that's how expensive PrEP is. That's wild.
It might be more. I mean, it was 20 something. So, and I remember because they like when I got on, yes, and I've been on PrEP multiple times. And been on for a while and I'm falling off because I move a lot and that makes it hard to keep up here. Dedication is what it is. But it was I got it for free because of medical insurance in Washington, right? But they told me how much it costs without it. You know what I mean? It was like 23 or 25 or something like that.
That's
And it was
wild.
like, yo, no way. And the thing is, it doesn't need to be. It's like literally like $60 in other places. You know what I mean? For a month supply.
Yeah.
There's no. It's just.
And it should be free. It should be free. It shouldn't even be $2 a pill.
I mean, all medical care should be free. Okay, let's be real. All medicine should be free. All medical care should be free. All water should be free. All food should be free. All energy should be free. Hands down. If we have a government, why the hell are you here but to provide those damn things and make sure that people are safe? If you ain't doing that, why the hell are you here? Why do you exist?
Why do we have human culture if we're not providing those things for everyone? I mean, that's the basis of human culture, is to create systems where we're not only creating food for all of us, but we're also creating ways to be in relationship to the land and to each other in a way that's sustainable, so we can continue to so 7 generations out, or 3 generations out, or 10 generations out, you can reliably be in similar food systems. And yeah, I mean, this is what being human is.
Yeah, I mean, housing should be free. Anything like, here's the thing is like oh, well, people need to make money and profit. First of all, we don't need profit. Second off, excess or abundance, whatever you want to call it, or surplus, whatever you want to call it, which is what profit is, right? All is like the surplus they can justify at the point, or they can claim a surplus, because at this point it's not even surplus, it's stealing from us. But like surplus can be divvied out after, like everybody's taken care of. You feel me? Surplus can be, it's not surplus if not everybody's taken care of. And I mean, that's all my point. It's not surplus if not every single person is housed, fed, and all that. It's not surplus. We haven't covered needs. But the thing is, there's more than enough that we could literally make sure that everybody lives good. You know what? I'll be real. I want to be down to fight for anarchism and communism if capitalism did a good enough job of making sure that like we were all good. I'm like, it's just not worth it at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not that I still think I would have hella critiques still and all that, but it's like at that point I won't be worth it because everything's good. Like for all of us, it's when everything's good. Like if nothing's bad, I mean, we might not all be living the way we want to live, but we're living good. You know, yeah. But that's not what it does. Instead, it just takes. And so, because like, oh, surplus is enough, so we got to make sure people die to be able. Oh, shit. We got to make sure people are unalived so we can be able to make profits, right? And oh crap, when the chicken comes home to roost, oh snaps! We can't let that happen. Like, bro, like, you know what I mean? All you gotta do is just move differently. Like, and you can still be greedy bastards and nobody would want to fight you about it because they wouldn't like you, but we wouldn't want to fight you. You know what I mean? Just want to be worth it. It'd be like, all right, you go have your little mansion. We'll just be kicking with each other over here and live our lives. You know what I mean? We're not gonna not worth it. Not worth that sacrifice at that point. But because they are so greedy and they are so selfish, it becomes worth that sacrifice, even to their own children, apparently.
Yeah. It makes me think, someone in chat mentioned Ursula Le Guin recently. I think The Left Hand of Darkness. Yeah, Stranger Than Fiction mentioned her. She has a book called The Dispossessed, which just imagines a communist anarchist society and how it might be in relationship to a capitalist society that is near it. And like largely has this culture around this society largely has a culture around like excess is kind of looked down upon a little bit. Like people can if they want to, because no one's trying to control anyone, but like the focus is to take care of each other. And people's brains being broken by that idea is kind of wild to me. Like the joy of like we're living in a loneliness epidemic and an alienation and isolation epidemic. And like, I think that makes people kind of not really be able to access or imagine the feeling of joy and happiness and seeing the people that you love and the people that you work with and the people that you collaborate with in your life all thriving. Like that creates a really great situation for all of us. And like, if that means that I like don't get to have like the cushy shit all the time, so be it. Like, my life is happier by seeing less suffering in the world. And you know, an anarchist or communist society doesn't mean that suffering doesn't exist. Of course suffering exists. Death doesn't go away. Challenges with the environment don't go away. There's still suffering. I don't think any of us are asking for a utopia, or at least I'm not asking for a utopia, because it doesn't exist.
I mean, I am, but how do you define a utopia? Like, my definition of utopia is different than like some middle class person. Mine's like, if we cannot be unnecessarily dying, that's utopia to me.
Yeah.
If we can be like where it's not unnecessary shit happening all the damn time, like, that's utopia to me. Like, we can still have fist fights sometimes. It's okay. We can still, like, shit can not be peachy. That's okay. And one of the things that I always try to point out to people too is like, the reason some people have these bubbles of safety is because they export all the violence, they export all the death onto other people.
Yes.
And we have to go through it so they can live in privilege.
Yeah.
And that goes from the wealthy to the middle class on down. You know what I mean? That's what's happening. Everybody's displacing their trauma, their piece of their trauma that is living life onto other people. So then people get overwhelmed with it. And it just stack. But here's the thing is, you even when doing that, it still just stacks up, because there's people can't only take so much. It still stacks up, and so over time we get closer and closer to human extinction because you want to keep displacing your piece of struggle you have to go through.
100%.
And we can just all accept our piece of struggle, and then it just lifts all our, and we put our arms around each other and help lift that weight together. Or we could like, no, I'm gonna put all on a few people until it all catches up to you. It's gonna come back. It just is. We're seeing it right now.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Shout out Luigi.
Yeah, and also I want to say too that like when we do imagine a world where most people's basic needs are taken care of, it's not a super. I don't think it's a super austere world either. There still are beautiful. There's still beauty. There's still enjoyment of what we would consider to be some like bougie experiences as well. Because a lot of what is classified as bougie and as luxury is just a commodification of a regular material thing, like oysters, for example, or lobster or gold. Like, these are all things that exist with naturally in the world in certain qualities. But then the bourgeoisie, the aristocracy, the royal family, the upper echelon of this hyper hierarchical society commodifies and fetishizes a certain product, and then it becomes a bougie fancy thing as opposed to a thing that's just to be enjoyed in a specific context at a specific time. Like, at one point, lobster and shellfish in general was seen as a poor man's food because it was highly in excess, because we were living in more lush ecological there were more lush ecologically abundant wetlands than there are now. And things like beef and pig were way, way more luxurious than they are now. But then scarcity changes things. And also, like, even without scarcity, before the thing becomes scarce because it's overfished and overproduced because of its fetishization, it becomes like some tastemaker, some rich person becomes obsessed with a thing, and then we get trends, and then we get fads, and that's what changes how we look at luxury, changes like, yeah. So I say all that to say, like, there are nice things without capitalism as well. Like, we get to enjoy nice things. We just get to enjoy them in balance to relationship to other human beings, relationship to the land, and relationship to other groups of people, where those products might be created. Like, human beings have had enjoyed rich trade routes of exchanging beautiful things and delicious things and enriching things for as long as culture has existed. Like, a big part of white supremacy and colonization sells us these narratives that, like, globalization as we understand it today didn't exist before the Europeans made it to the New World. No, honey. My ancestors, my North African ancestors and Arab ancestors will tell you, we were coming to North America before the Europeans, and we were trading with them. And there's similar stories with West Africans as well, because there's West African bead patterns in archaeological digs on the east coast of Turtle Island, on the east coast of the Americas. Like, people have been trading for a long time. The Vikings were like way up north in Northern Europe. We're trading, we're engaging with trade routes in North Africa and the Middle East. Like, and also there's rich trade histories on Turtle Island as well. Like, people were trading and visiting across coast as well. Like, there's maps of the northwestern region that are written in a Polynesian language common to a tribe in Hawaii.
Interesting.
How did the Maori people make it out to New Zealand? How did the different Hawaiian tribes make it out to Hawaii? Like, people have been traveling and trading for thousands and thousands of years before colonization existed. And they were sharing their own surpluses of beauty and ingredients, like cooking ingredients and weavings and fur and all of the cushy, lovely, nice things. Like, those things don't go away when capitalism goes away, because that's a part of human culture, to connect and to trade.
I mean, in fact, capitalism, it hinders human culture and the spread of culture and cultural sharing, and replaces it with appropriation, which is just a form of colonization. You know what I mean? So, damn, man. I think it'd be a good time. Actually, I feel like we feel good wrapping it up with that. Honestly, if you're down. Oh.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for showing up and watching the stream. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And look, we'll be having more videos. We don't do live streams, but we wanted to make this one happen. Shout out for Luigi. Let free Luigi. We appreciate people putting down their lives to fight for the freedom, liberation, and survival of the people as a whole, which is what they're doing. So free Luigi. And one thing I will say before we leave, I want to say this: they're not going to convict him. It's not going to happen.
It's gonna be a nullified jury. I'm calling it right now. There's no fucking way. There's no way. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Stranger the Fiction. Thanks, Rockstar. Thanks, Irene.
Actually, let me say this before we leave. Actually, everybody needs to spread the word about what jury nullification is. The jury has a right to nullify itself and to be like, we know what? We don't think this was wrong. We don't think they should go to jail. So we ain't going.
We'll see. We will see. Hopefully.
Look up jury nullification. Jury nullification. Look it up. Everybody look that up. All right. We're going to go ahead and get the heck out of here. Make sure to subscribe, like, share this video if you can. Get it around to people. I'll try to get a thumbnail up so it looks a little more fancy. I gotta censor the thumbnail, I realize, and shrink it and stuff like that. But it will be up there. Will be a thumbnail with the you can look at it. You can look in the thread and you'll see it. You know what I mean, the community thread. But thanks for rocking with me, and love y'all. We about to be outro.
Bye, y'all.
Peace. Subscribe.